Happy Wednesday morning, Old Testament survey. This is Mr. Albers, and this is just a quick, you could call it a supplemental devotional thought. Nothing graded or anything like that, just something I wanted to share with you while we continue to go through the quarantine situation. So this, you may recognize, is Psalm 23, but this is a translation that's based not on the Hebrew Bible, but on the Greek Septuagint translation. And that's why it looks a little bit different, not substantially, but just the wording, the way it's grammatically arranged. And I thought I would share that with you because I think it helps us to get another perspective and maybe to think about a passage that for many of us is very familiar in a fresh way, and to see maybe new things. I want to point out one or two of those. But I'm going to read it just to begin with. The Lord shepherds me, and nothing will be lacking for me. In a place of tender grass, there he causes me to dwell. At a river of rest, he nourishes me. Think about that imagery, a river of rest, a place of tender grass. He turns around my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness on account of his name. For even if I should go in the middle of the shadow of death, I will not fear evil things, because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they exhort me. And so it's interesting. The word here, let's see if I can get this to work, for exhort can mean encourage, or it can mean exhort like spur on. And I think there may be a little bit of a double meaning intended there, right? If a shepherd is using a rod and a staff, sometimes the quote-unquote encouragement to the sheep looks like a whack or a sound trying to point the sheep in the correct direction. But it's also an encouragement because they know that if an enemy attacks, the shepherd is armed and the shepherd will protect them. And I think there are times in our lives when what may feel like we're being disciplined or being punished may actually be God's exhortation. It may be that he's spurring us on, that he's encouraging us to do the next thing he has for us. So that's something I think can be important to keep in mind, especially since many of us are in uncharted territory. We're learning new routines. We're having to figure out how to process chaos in the world around us. So I think that's a neat part of this passage here. You prepare you prepare before me a table opposite those who afflict me. You anoint my head with olive oil, and your drinking cup is satisfying as the best. Okay, so the idea of not just, it's okay, it's what I need, but it's overflowing, it's satisfying as the best. Your mercy will pursue me all the days of my life, and my dwelling will be in the house of the Lord for the length of days. And I just want to finish by looking at this word pursue, because I really like that idea. In fact, let me scroll down here for a moment. This is the Hebrew word that's behind that. It's the word radaf. And don't worry about wading through this Hebrew lexicon dictionary entry, but just notice the definitions given here. So this can mean to follow after earnestly or to pursue. It can mean to persecute. So sometimes the idea is, these people are pursuing me to hurt me, or to put to flight. These people have beaten me in battle, and so now they're chasing me. Think about that imagery, like God's mercy will pursue me all the days of my life. For those of us who are in Christ, if we are covered by his blood, if our faith is in him, then regardless of what it may look like in the world around us, we can be confident, not that God will extend us mercy when we get around to coming to ask for it, but that God's mercy will pursue us, that it will chase us, that even if we may feel like we're running from God, his mercy is coming after us. And I think that's a really cool and comforting thought to have in mind. So anyhow, there's obviously much, much more that could be said about this passage, but I just wanted to give you a few quick thoughts. Make sure, I don't know that I've mentioned this before, but if there is any specific way that I can be praying for you, feel free to send me a message to that regard. And if you would, just pray for Mrs. Albers as the time approaches for her to give birth to our fourth son, Hudson Michael will be his name. Just that everything goes smoothly, especially with, again, all the fear with the coronavirus on the outside. All right, well, I pray that you feel and see that God's mercy is pursuing you today, maybe in very real ways. And as always, reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks.